Hi everyone, welcome to the session on how to choose a right privacy solution for your organization. I'm Akhilesh and I'm Director Privacy at Tsaaro, and I take care of privacy implementation at Tsaaro. I have been working from 2013 and I have started working in the GDPR domain from 2019. That's about me, and we have four gentlemen here along with me. We'll start with Gilberto Costa.
I work for Exterro, directing the product management. I am responsible for the all privacy platform and the architect behind the smart data inventory.
So we'll move on to the next video speaker. We have Anshul Gupta here.
Hi, I'm Anshul. I'm working with Incora as a global CISO for GSRC practice, and I have around 15 plus years experience in setting up the info security process and info governance for the organization.
Thanks, Anshul. Thanks for the intro. So, moving on to the next speaker, we have Abhishek Gamawat.
I lead the legal and compliance function for Zepto. My experience is mostly in startups. I worked for close to 4 years with Swiggy. Was also looking at litigation, compliance, secretarial, and the entire legal vertical for one of its subsidiaries.
So, moving on to the next speaker, we have Vasant.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vasant Pai. I'm performing the role of Chief Data Protection Officer for Tech Mahindra, as well as I'm performing the role of Chief Data Protection uh, Data Privacy Office. Also, I'm holding.
A little intro about Saro. Saro is a leading privacy and security services firm, and we help enterprises in their privacy journey, either by helping with the tools implementation or doing the gap assessments, identifying the gaps, and helping them to understand their privacy compliance requirements. And this session is sponsored by Exterro, and Exterro is the leading provider of e-discovery and information governance software, and they're one of the prominent tools that are available in the market for the data privacy domain as well as the data forensic domain. So without any further delay, we'll move on to the session, that is choosing the right privacy solution. So just introducing this privacy solution is nothing but a software solution that will help us in our privacy compliance, right? Most of the privacy people are aware we would be doing the privacy aspects like doing a data privacy impact assessment or a consent management or a ROPA using Excel sheets, right? So we have been doing that, but as the organization size increases, the complexity of maintaining this also increases. So that is the reason having a solution can be a right choice for few organizations or many organizations to say, right, in terms of easing the compliance requirements and maintaining a comprehensive view of their privacy program in the organization. So saying that, we have the first question for today, that is, why do organizations need privacy solutions?
In my opinion, I see that any organization with a medium, back then with a medium or large size, could not afford implement an effective privacy program without a solution, a software. So because that helps you to establish the privacy program in a much more effective way. It's humanly impossible for an organization. And back then, I was talking about medium, large organization, but nowadays, because of the growing requirements in privacy laws and regulation, all organizations of any size do need some sort of software, some sort of solution that helps them to streamline the process.
That's true. That's really true. Wasn't being a DPO, right? You have been dealing with the privacy from long. So, what do you think? Why do organizations need the privacy solutions, Vasant?
Yeah. As the organizations mature as well as grow, there are too many transactions as well as data scattering around the organization with the suppliers, customers, and their own employees, and all these subsidiaries and all those such things. And it will be difficult to manage them, classify them, protect them, safeguard them, and also maintain the compliance documentation for the regulatory requirements. So that is why we need privacy solutions. Simple things such as data subject requests and all those things, as well as this data classification and data handling. This, if you do it manually, I don't think it will be possible to maintain in a hygienic way unless you use the solutions for each of these.
So privacy solution will helping us to multiple ways actually. When you have a right solution, right, it helping to establish a privacy program both in effective and scalable format kind of thing. You can also make sure that you have not only you're going to safeguard your security safeguard on regular basis, and you also satisfy your regulatory requirement. These are the two criteria which I like to be focus more, uh, safeguarding your security as well as regulatory requirement to accomplish by using the solution.
So, Abhishek, what's your opinion on this?
So, Akhilesh, I would like to give some of the interesting facts, which would really set the context as to why do we need the privacy solutions, right? Um, we have the recent IBM data research report, okay, which was published in 2021. It states that the average cost of data breach around the world increased by 10% to $2.4 billion. If you talk about India, 84% of the consumers would like to share their personal information with the companies who have better security and better systems in place as far as their data privacy and data protection is concerned. You are very much aware about the Cambridge Analytica case, right? Where
Right.
the as many as 50 million Facebook users' data was at threat. So, considering this volume of the data which the modern age companies, particularly the e-com companies, which are collecting, it is becoming practically and realistically impossible to sort of comply with the regulatory requirements. Number one, and also give the confidence to the data users or the platform users that their data is secured, right?
That's true.
So I believe that these two are the major um, contributors or enablers for all companies to sort of think really invest in the privacy solutions which can help them to create a reputation that would create an everlasting impression for which
Right.
it is being said.
That's true, Abhishek. Even as an user, the trust is the most important factor. And by having the right solution, the trust can be generated to the user. Gilberto, the question is for you, right? How can privacy solutions assist organizations to achieve regulatory compliance?
I see that solution, the way that solution can assist, like Exterro or organization can assist companies to achieve regulatory compliance is one, of course, helping them to have a strong and solid data inventory, helping them to link data inventory to where you have all your data, metadata, I'd say, linking this to data subject access request, because data subject access request, it's not a question of if someone will request data, it's like when they will. And to be sure, the more that people, the population become educated, the more that the number of data subject access requests will increase. And the organization need to respond in a specific time frame depending on the regulation they need to comply with. So without a system that allows them to uh, operationalize these inventories and the data and then of course to respond to data subject access request, it's again very difficult. Without of course forgetting to mention that every organization has a website, and websites of course get visitors, and visitors, by going to a website, they will be facing cookies and other trackers. Privacy regulations requires those organizations to, every time you process personal data or collect the data from individuals, such as dropping a cookie and getting the IP address of the visitor, to obtain consent. So we can help this organization provide a strong and manageable consent management platform that will help them to be able to not only obtain consent from the data subject, but also being able to prove through reports, if necessary, demonstrate this compliance to data protection authority.
Thanks, Gilberto, for that. You have mentioned a very important point about the consent management, right? If you look at the latest draft bill introduced in India, consent management is one of the most important aspects. So, Anshul, so how do you look at the Indian draft bill, and how do you think the tools will help us in terms of the regulatory compliance?
Tool is one of the things which can going to help you definitely on regulatory compliance. But before that, you need to have a your systematic approach to design
Right,
your compliance strategy. Okay, and you should have a kind of some either third party or supplement expert in your organization who can drive this out. Okay, tool definitely going to help you out with respect to your consent management, data retentions activity, how you can do the data discovery. When I say data discovery, right, it's talk about to identify where the data gets stored. Is any PCI data gets stored or any data related to GDPR or intellectual property, where it gets stored, and you can categorize that. Okay, the solution usually go and scan it, but before that, you need to make a lot of compliance program policies so that based on that, your tool should achieve the desired outcome or result.
so one other area that tools can really help us is in terms of the vendor risk management and the data retentions, right? So, Abhishek, what's your take on that?
So on the data retention, Akhilesh, the bill which you referred to, right, very clearly talks that you can only store the data or the personal information of the customers or the users till the time or till the purpose it was required to be used, right? To have this at scale and to implement this at scale is only possible when we have a very very robust solution in place.
Right,
Another thing, when we were talking about consent management, right? Everybody touched upon that. One of the requirements of the bill is that when you are seeking consent, you have to have an option for a user to get that request understood in 22 different languages, right?
right,
Again, this is only possible when you have a robust privacy solution in place. When we talk about vendor risk assessment, you need to see whether your IT systems can be integrated, whether that vendor is having a reputation of putting a really, really or giving a really, really strong solution which suits the uh, different needs of your organization, right? Then you'll have to
right.
do the cost benefit analysis. Will the vendor withstand the test of different functions of the organization? Because vendor will have to actually integrate the entire system into theirs, right? The API integration and all of this will have to be considered as far as my vendor risk analysis metrics is concerned.
Right, Abhishek. That's well summarized. So, moving on to the next question. So, this is the most critical question every organization faces, right? There are lot of tools that are available in the market. So, how do you choose the right privacy solution?
For selecting any tool, first of all, we should have a problem statement, like what you are going to achieve, and you should have a strategy. The strategy will roll up to the privacy framework what you have developed for the organization, and then what problem you are going to try to solve. That is what is very more important. And considering the solution, whether it fits into your organization, whether it has scope for expansion or the scope of customization, depending on your organization function units and such other intricacies which is specific to your organization, how you can customize it for your own use, and then scale it up and solve your problems. That is most important. So you have to analyze, you have to start from like understanding the business requirement, privacy requirements, whether the tool will provide the solution end to end or partly, or it has a modular approach. It integrates with the rest of other tools and solutions, so that you can have a report and MIS integrated. So all such things we have to keep it in mind.
Right person. So, Anshul, what do you think? What will be your most important criteria when you are evaluating a privacy tool or a solution?
Okay, so while evaluating privacy to the couple of things you have to understand. The one thing is that you understand will this tool give you a clear picture of your entire data landscape and why you want to implement this solution. So the main thing is that you need to understand while implementing solution, We make sure this software will improve your compliance posture. It reduces the risk with respect to data breaches. Okay, and to understand that, you have to understand what is your data landscape. One thing is
Right.
that. Second thing, the tool have any automated data discovery classification capability or not. This is a reason why I'm asking the automated word here, because when you do a manual, right, so there will be chances of inaccuracy. Your tool should establish compliance with data privacy laws standard. It covers your laws and compliance program where you want to run as per your industry, which compliance is applicable to you based on the issue standard and support those things actually. And other thing that you the usability of the tool, how easy to you can use the tool, and how fit in organization based on what kind of data you are using in organization. So those are the criteria you should understand and then evaluate the tool.
From a legal perspective, what is that is important for you in the solution that make you choose that particular solution?
From the legal perspective, I would first of all I would check whether this solution helps me to create sufficient Chinese walls within the organization.
Okay.
What data customer is sharing with Akhilesh is also being shared with Abhishek, or can we just classify and only give that particular data which is required by Abhishek? So this is
Right.
something which is called as Chinese walls. Second
Right.
thing, from the legal perspective, I would check if this solution is giving sufficient transparency to my users. When we talk about privacy policy, it will have all the usages where the information of the users are shared or maybe collected or used, right? Whether this solution also helps me in devising or implementing the privacy policy which I am having. From the compliance perspective, I would also check whether there are two factor authentication, then there are any firewalls, anti malware programs, etc., etc. So all of this is something which we would be checking from the legal perspective in choosing the right privacy solution for the organization.
Got it, Abhishek. So, Gilbert, I have a reverse question for you because you are the tool expert, right? See, if you look at it, tools are something that are new to the market, right? People now are understanding more about it. So, how do you pitch in or advise the clients in terms of selecting the right solution, right? Even if you look at the tools, there are so many modules inside it.
The first thing that I think any organization need to take into account is before choosing a privacy solution is asking this question: does this tool that I'm about to subscribe, does this tool comply with the privacy by design principles? If the solution are not fall, if solution is not following those principles, and then that should not be my choice. That's the first thing. The second thing
Right.
is when I look to a solution or a module or an integrated platform, I need to understand where does this solution host the data. And this is very important because more and more laws, privacy laws and regulation are hitting on data transfers. And if you transfer data outside your jurisdiction, that may require you to implement additional safe measures. If you're providing a transfer data inside or within the same jurisdiction, that's a different story. But even when you transfer outside your jurisdiction, you may be transferring data to a third country or to an adequate country. So those are different scenarios that you need to consider. It's not only the features that solution provide, but where the solution hosts the data, and if this solution share data with any subprocessor or a third party. The other factor is, of course, and I wanted to say this, a solution that represents or incorporates your existing process, because it is very hard to educate people. Yes, there will be some level of education required in the new tool, but if the tool already understands or your process, your internal process, and that will be very easy for your team or your staff, your in the organization, your staff to easily smoothly start using the tool. So in order to choose a tool, I need first to ask this question: does this company or does this tool or this platform understand the business that we have in my organization? Because if they do, then they will be actually as become a solution to my company. If they are something that is completely different or of what we have in house, then the learning curve of my staff will be very kind of cumbersome.
So once we have the solution in place, the next part is how we are going to implement that. That's an again an important aspect in implementing dealing with the solution, right? So I'll take the opinion of the experts here. So starting with Anshul, can you help me like how we can implement the solution, right?
Okay, so implementing the solution is something which you need to define your use cases actually for the organization. First, you have
Right.
to identify the use case and which you want to implement, right? What is the scope of something, right? And you have to see these tool going to how is get benefit to your organization and what kind of workflow you want to configure basically. So those are the criteria you have to start with respect to what are the integration you're looking at, what kind of data you want to use, or what are the compliances you want to cover with using this tool. Okay, once you have all those things in place, right, then you can structure out your approach with respect to first try to identify where the data is are there. Okay, then what are the integration program you want to run, which all tools it's try what your tool want to collect the data, right? This is on the integration you can look in that. Okay, then you also need to plan for employee training program. Okay, how
Right.
you want to plan training program, this is very important because adoption is one of the very key criteria in any organization for any tool, either privacy solution or your risk management solution. The adoption is very important criteria.
So Abhishek, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah. So I think the most important factor for us when we choose the privacy solution and from the implementation perspective is to define a very, very robust scope, which should not only serve the requirements of the organization, but also give lot of transparency to the users, and it should help me in sort of fulfilling the requirements of the laws of the land, which is compliance. So what I will have to do is that we'll have to bring the entire functions which are collecting the data or accessing the data of the users and take their views in defining the scope, assign the appropriate POC members who will work with the solutions provider. We were speaking to one of the solutions provider, and they said that they will actually give some of their representatives on a full-time basis who will come at our premises, talk to people and implement the solution. If that is something which can be there, I think that would really, really help in bridging the gap of understanding between the team and the vendor.
That's right, Abhishek. So moving on to the next question, right? So that is on like what are the future trends, right? So what do you think how the privacy solutions will look like in the future?
I think the future trends, what I can visualize is using artificial intelligence, AI and ML based
Right.
solutions, which will pre-populate the data, this regulatory requirements as well as original requirements pre-populated, and then it comes as a whatever is already pre-filled forms and pre-filled documentation, so that now
Right.
users can just review them, and then revise if it is necessary, and then close them. Basically, it reduces the cycle of the creation plan to check act actually, so that no
Right.
the similar documentation is maintained, and the organization can safeguard their data in a much more cohesive manner using these solutions.
Right, Vasant. Even I agree. I'm looking for more for the automation side of the solution so that we can reduce the manual interventions, right? So definitely AI and ML will definitely help. So Gilberto, what's your take on this?
Yeah, definitely automation. Automation is key for data inventory, is smartness for assessment to reduce the number of or eliminate redundant questions that people do today, have to do today. They ask the inventory and then they have an assessment, they need to ask again the same questions. And then you have a data subject access request, and then you need to go and email IT and email HR, etc. So having integrated solutions that and with automations to reduce the amount of input of data and the amount of additional and repetitive work that people are doing today with solutions out there. I think that's the trending. So automation, using AI, and of course reducing the time DPOs and privacy champions spend in front of the computer.
So, Gilberto, it's over to you. You can help us, like how Exterro can help us really in terms of the tool implementation and how it can solve the privacy challenges.
Very good. Thank you. Yes. So Excel provides a unified legal GRC platform, which is very strong on cybersecurity and compliance, e-discovery, and digital forensics, and of course, privacy. And we have this robust smart data inventory and the smart assessment solutions. And the platform can, of course, be easily integrated with other solutions that you may have in your organization because it has hundreds of data connectors built in-house and we have an open APIs. Unlike other solutions, in case where additional privacy impact assessments are required, and you need to again go to business, etc. You spend time and additional time and effort. Our mission is to help organizations to reduce time to compliance.
This has been a very wonderful session, and it was really good to understand more from everyone to how a privacy solution needs to be chosen and what are your important criteria for you when choosing the privacy solution. So that was really amazing, and thanks really for joining this session.